Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You really deserve it. So let's watch.
But I think it may be worth being open with Alina about the messages with some of my girlfriends so she understands they're not like sexual or anything.
Want me to come over tonight?
You've known about her. We're close friends. I go over to her place at night.
Okay, so he's supposed to be deleting his social media accounts, which I've been saying from the beginning is not really a road to, security and to feeling secure in a relationship. What would help is if he didn't lie and recovered from those lies. But anyway, she wants him to delete the accounts, and he's, doing it. And now they're looking, he's handing her the phone and saying, hey, go ahead and take a look at everything that I've sent to people so that you can know that I wasn't, sending any, texts or messages to anyone that were bad. Who knows? He could have deleted things. He could have, doctored things. Who knows? But I will say we use the show as a jumping off point, and when I work with people as they are recovering, you could consider this kind of infidelity recovery that they're going through right now, that the cheating partner will sometimes hand the phone over. And we've even seen this on the show. Some people have access to each other's phone. There'll be that kind of measure taken to build trust back. If you're really worried about your partner cheating on you and you can at any time just grab their phone and look through it, it can be a little bit more reassuring. It's not, the first line of defense for this kind of thing. That's a weird way of putting it. It's not the first thing I would recommend people do. It takes a long time to build trust. I mean, number one, the person who is doing the trust breaking needs to stop doing that. I mean, that's just like, if they want to improve the relationship, they want a good relationship, they have to stop lying, they have to stop cheating, that kind of thing. And then the second thing is we need to have a roadmap of building trust back, and it takes months, if not years. So anyway, she's looking through the text, and she found that he texted a woman that's a friend saying, hey, I could come over tonight. And according to him, he's like, yeah, I mean, it's just a friend. And we've seen this difference on the show before, sometimes even between these different cultures, where in some cultures it's totally normal, like in mine, for women and men to be friends. And in other cultures, it's like not something that you do. And it's much more suspicious or much more of a violation or something. So maybe they'll get into it. Let's watch.
She's someone that I would like to continue talking to.
Just
some of his friends.
No.
Okay, so I think she's having an emotional episode, which is understandable. I think it's starting to hit her what, the text, if it was just a friend, I'm guessing Alina doesn't care, but I think it's reminding her of all the things, he has told her that he was dating and having sex with other people while she thought they were essentially engaged in a long distance relationship. So I think it's kind of hitting her right now, which makes total sense. It's really hurtful, and it can be very, it's normal to have meltdowns when those, and so if I were to be working with a couple like this, we would expect Alina to have these kinds of emotional upwelling feeling of like, oh my God, you're disgusting to me. Look what you did to me. And how do they deal with it together as a team? It's important that she's allowed to feel her feelings, that she understands that they're normal, that he comes to her and says, is there anything I can do? Maybe she's like, leave me alone. Or maybe she's like, she just wants to kind of get angry at him verbally within reason for a little bit of time, or more questions like, how could you do this? And he would say, I'm sorry, I lied. I shouldn't have done that. I was a different person back then, or whatever. So let's see what they do here.
Alina, what'd you see?
He just asked if she wants him to come over, if she wants him to stay tonight. They call each other like, I don't know, some cute names.
Now, there is a distinct possibility that she came across a text chain in which he was talking with someone that he was romantically and or sexually involved with, and he's just lying and saying that no, you're just seeing friendly discussion, because we can't know if in this realm we can't trust him because he's lied, and he's also kind of shady about the lying, like the way that he was, the way he reacted when he was caught was shady. You know, it'd be one thing just to be like, oh my God. I mean, just imagine y'all out there if you were caught on a lie like that. I mean, I'm just gonna say, if it was me, I'd just be like, I mean, I'd be so ashamed that I don't know. I would have exhibited more shame. I think he didn't seem to exhibit that. He was still trying to kind of dance around it a little bit. So we can't know. Now, if it wasn't infidelity that she was observing, it would also make total sense that this would trigger her, because essentially, she has been cheated on, and so it's a proxy kind of. And this is another thing that I will work on with the cheated on partners is you'll have questions typically that, there are people who are cheated on. They want information. When did you do it? How did you do it? With who? What positions? What happened? I want to see the text. I want to see the person. I want to see everything. And not everyone's like that, but a lot of people are. And that compulsion is normal, but it's not always healthy. If you want to move in a direction of relationship salvaging, to inject those images and that knowledge, the pictures, into your mind can really ruin your love for someone and can be actually traumatizing to you. I've talked about this before, where I had a client who, I won't go into details to protect his privacy, but he somehow heard his wife having sex with someone else. I won't go into the details of how that happened, but it was accidental, and it burned a trough through his brain, and for years and years and years, that because it's one thing to know that someone cheated, just kind of you have the general outline of what happened, and that's very damaging. It can be very hurtful and can literally traumatize you in a relationship, but to see it or to hear it or to read the text exchange, I've treated people actually with PTSD who had developed PTSD in response to stuff like this. It seems like you're just gathering information, but it can actually really throw a lightning bolt through your soul, through your attachment, through your sense of safety. It can feel very unsafe. People think like, well, being cheated on, it's like, well, true colors, and that's part of it. But another part of it, if you've been cheated on, is a deep fear of, wait, I can't trust anyone, and everything is in question, and I feel scared, I feel alone, I feel disconnected from the world. Being cheated on is an extreme experience for a lot of us, and to expose yourself directly to the information can actually cause even more harm. And it doesn't solve things. I will ask people in Alina's position, okay, you're totally within your rights to look through his phone, but here's what could happen. Do you want to take that risk? And we'll have a lot of conversations about it. If at the end of that they still want to do that, then it's up to them. It's certainly within their rights in most situations. But I feel like there's not enough guidance for people as they head into it.
I don't get it. There wasn't even anything in that chat. Want to go swimming? That's what I asked. Take a shower, come home. Where did she even see? I don't even.
Yeah, so it's possible that he's like, I don't understand what's going on here. It's just a exchange between me and a friend of mine who happens to be a woman. Yeah, okay, if that's true, who knows? But like I said, it's at the very least, we know that she has been cheated on and lied to. And so this is just a reminder of that.
I get what's wrong here.
I don't want to hear his excuses. He doesn't take my emotions serious.
Right. That's another component of it, is the way in which he takes the pain that he's put her through seriously. And that's another part of recovery that I work on with couples, is that one, she should tell him, because she just ran off. Now, two, he should be able to intuit what she's going through and actually treat it seriously. But one, she should be able to communicate to him, okay, when I'm looking at that, this is how I'm feeling right now. I don't know if I'm seeing it accurately. It kind of looks like you were having a thing with that person, but I can't know. But all I can tell you is when I look at that, it makes me feel these feelings. You know, feelings are our own and they're undebatable. People can't argue with them. Whereas they can argue as to whether or not he was cheating on Alina with that other woman. That is a debatable thing. Or at least it's, anyway. So what I will work on with people is when they have these moments, the Alinas of the world need to be able to communicate, and the Stevens of the world need to be able to intuit and or listen and take care of. So one thing that Steven could do is, come around the corner and say, Alina, I know why you feel this way. I want to say that text exchange, there was nothing flirting happening. It's just a friend. It's just kind of the way we talk. But I want to acknowledge that the feelings you're having are completely normal, because I did a horrible thing. And I lied to you, and I've almost acted like it's not a big deal, so you're right to feel this way, and I'm so sorry that I've put you through this, that kind of thing.
I'm nervous because I feel like this could be the final straw for Alina. And what makes it worse is I don't really understand why she's so upset.
Right. So one, it's normal for the people who have done the violation of trust to vastly underestimate the effect it's going to have on the other person. Research shows that when you ask people after they have been caught in a lie or cheating or something, the Stevens of the world will always say, like, I had no idea that it was going to cause this much pain and this much anger and last this long. If I knew that, I never would have done this sort of thing, that kind of stuff. So, the way that you could say it's immaturity, obviously narcissism, psychopathy, desperation. There's actually, passive aggressive, dependent people can sometimes be this way. Anyway, some kind of distortion or immaturity or, something going on, desperation. Sometimes alcoholism can lead to this sort of thing. But at any rate, after, as people are heading into, cheating behavior, infidelity, though, if you were just to ask them, like, okay, it looks like you're about to cheat on your partner, or you're about to do something that could risk hurting someone's feelings. Why are you doing it right now? If you could really just snap that person out of that situation and ask them that question, they would, they wouldn't have a lot of wisdom around it or differentiation or planning. A lot of it is just kind of like, well, it feels good right now, or they won't mind, or I'm not really in a relationship. There's a lot of justifications that come into play, and it really clouds the ability to think straight during those situations. It's rare that people, when they're cheating, are like, yeah, I'm cheating, I'm doing something wrong, and I'm definitely going to hurt that person. It's almost never like that. I'll add that, and I think I've said this before, that the people that I've cheated, the people that I've treated who have cheated were always suffering greatly. It didn't justify the cheating, but there's a lot of suffering. So there's that aspect. The other aspect is, why would he be that way? What's going on with him? Is it immaturity? Is it some kind of distortion? Is it some sort of personality issue? Is it psychopathy? I can't really tell. Is it some sort of compulsion? Is it misogyny and sexism? Is it superiority of some sort, just culturally? That I don't know. I think, is it all the above? It's hard for me to tell, but there are markers here of something, there's a constellation of behaviors that we're seeing that point to his, is it oblivion? I guess the question is it obliviousness or is it chosen obliviousness? Is it part of his game to play dumb? Like, I don't understand what's going on, when he absolutely does understand what's going on. I don't know. But either way, the Stevens of the world, especially on a show like this, people will vilify them and say, they're a dog, because we have this caricature of what a guy who cheats and, plays women, this kind of thing. We have a sort of a cartoon version in our head because we've had it pumped into our minds. Those kinds of dudes exist, but they're pretty rare. More often than not, the people who exhibit this, and we've had a good opportunity to see a number of people like him on this show, more often than not, again, it stems from tremendous suffering. For example, some people have absolutely no self-worth or self-esteem and have never had it. And the only way they can achieve it is through desperate acts that harm themselves and other people. Is that what we're seeing right now? Is he in a constant desperation to validate himself through, flirting and getting, because, it is one of the ways that people of all genders will try to gain approval and self-esteem is, okay, if I can get that random person to like me, then I can relax. Okay, I'm likable. I'm a good enough person. Okay, that buzz has worn off. Okay, I got to get someone else to like me. I'm going to flirt with that person. I'm going to, is that what we're seeing? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Покажи мне еще раз ту переписку.
Okay, Shasta. The messages I sent to this girl, I feel are okay. And I think that's what makes Alina the most upset, is that I don't see a problem.
Right. So again, if I were there, I would say, let's put aside those texts. We do know the following bad things have happened. Let's focus on those because those are established.
Confusing because Steven and I met on social media and I fell in love with him, with his words. So to see him so nicely talk with other women, it makes me feel like I am not the only one.
Yeah, because you're not. You feel like you're not the only one because you're not the only one. I mean, that is clear. So you would think that she would take a step back and say, we have to reevaluate this. We got to start over. This whole relationship is a sham. Do I want to be with this person? It seems like she does. But anyway, so yeah, I get that for sure. And that's the violation that needs to be in the discussion, not this text exchange between him and his friend. And some people, I'm sure there are some people that'll look at him and be like, heart emoji, no, that's obviously flirting and romantically charged of some kind. And there'll be other people that say, well, I don't know, people send heart emojis to their friends sometimes and it's not necessarily flirtatious. So, people have different ways of communicating. Again, he could absolutely, I could even see him deluding himself in that at the time he absolutely was flirting with this woman, at least in part. But now he's like, he goes into denial about it because it serves him to do that. I don't know.
A really close friend of mine, I do love her, but as a friend, and I care about
отлично,
her.
Люби тогда ее, я не знаю, вернись в Америку, продолжай отношения с ней, все нормально.
Yeah, if I were there as a therapist and they were asking for my help, I would say, let's focus on the foundational elements of what's happening right here. Alina, you feel hurt. You feel betrayed. You feel lied to. That's all normal and okay. Whether or not something is happening with this particular person, he's claiming that nothing has happened. But we do know that these other things. So let's tend to that because everyone can agree. but Stephen has not shown the adequate amount of shame, the adequate amount of remorse about what has already happened. So yeah, I think she's right to be triggered and to have these feelings, and he very well could be right. It's like no, that it's just a friend. You're seeing an exchange between me and a friend, and he does love her. I don't know why he would say that at that moment, but again, I have women friends that I love, and there's nothing going on between us, and it's fine. So it's okay. What he's doing now, again, culturally, I think it is, because we've seen Julia, remember, with Brandon, and then people will comment and say, actually, in this part of the world, it's not typical for those kinds of relationships to happen. But I don't know.
Are you serious about our relationship? Are you serious about me?
Yeah.
Нет, это не серьезно.
I have no words. I don't know how to explain how I feel. I don't know how to show what's going on right now.
Yeah, I totally get it. She's there. It's just a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain and a lot of uncertainty, and it's normal to have those feelings. I will just say that this show, 90 Day Fiancé, the editors edit these conversations so severely that I can tell that she's saying something that he said. They're cramming several things into this tiny little space, and I just wish that, especially in a conversation like this, I just wish they'd pan out, just have the two people. You could edit out the parts where it doesn't sound very interesting, but just see the exchange. I would just like to see what's really happening, because I'm really curious how he's responding, but I think they're cutting out his responses, which is I don't know. For me, as someone, I'm trying to figure out what's happening, because why do I care? I'm curious. I care about these two individuals, and I guess I'm curious as to what's going on, and somehow it makes me feel better or complete or something if I can have a conceptualization that makes sense to me, I guess. And also, I use this show as a jumping off point. And if I can, because I think the question of why is Stephen the way that he is, why is he this way? I think, it's an interesting question. And I think if we could have some data to develop some sound hypotheses, we might be able to understand others and ourselves better.
I understand you're upset about this, and
Любая бы на моем месте просто уехала бы.
Я больше не вижу смысла продолжать эти отношения.
So we'll say that he is listening. He's not saying the things he should be saying, but he is listening. I mean, there's worse ways he could be responding, but things he should be saying, which he has not yet said sufficiently in my mind, is, I'm sorry, and I did some terrible things, and you have every reason to be upset at me. You have every reason to question what's going on. You have every reason to be in a lot of pain. I caused that. Let's review what he's done. From what we've seen, which we can't really know, but it looks like prior to the season, they were, flirting online. They met up for a couple weeks. They had a connection. He came back to the States. They continued to talk online, and they were talking about marriage and kids and living together for the rest of their lives. And she was interpreting it like, he is the one. All my eggs are in this basket. For him, at least over time, maybe influenced by his church, they're saying, you got to shop around before you choose the one, because it's going to be someone you're going to be married to, not only for this life, but in the upcoming lives. And so he either falls out of love with her, or never was in love with her, or whatever, and he starts to date other people. He goes to her and says, he's essentially saying, I'm guessing what was happening for him, he was like, oh, I bet you Alina thinks that we're still exclusive, so I should probably inform her. But he did it in this extremely haphazard, way. What he should have done is he should have gone to her and said, I need to break up with you. I'm so sorry, but for these reasons, I just don't think it's going to work, or I want to be with other people. I'm not ready to be tied down yet. And so, I'm sorry, but I need to break up with you because I want to date other people. And that would have been painful, but that would have been the right move. Instead, he asked her, is it okay if I date other people? Something along those lines. And she said no. And I think that was the end of the conversation. But he, in his mind, thought, well, I've informed her, so here we go. And I wouldn't put it past him to have already been dating other women before he even said that. But anyway, so then later on, so she moves on with her life thinking, well, that was a weird question, but back to all my eggs in this one basket. I'm in love with him, and we're going to be married, and everything's going to be great. We're going to have kids, and continues to have those kinds of conversations. He, when finally, comes around, actually says, okay, Alina is the one, meets her in Turkey, and says, and admits that, he was with these other women. And he's like, well, but I thought we had broken up. He said these phrases like, well, I feel like I was clear with you. And she's like, no, you were not. You were not clear with me. You just asked if you could date other people. I said no, and then that was it. That's not clear with me. You what? How do you think that's clear with me? And then he agrees to delete social media. He doesn't. He just says it. Then he is flirting with another woman, her friend, Alina's friend, Masha. God knows how many other women. While he is in Turkey with Alina, he is flirting with at least one woman, if not lots of other women. Who knows if it's got to be a tip of some iceberg. Who knows what's going on there? And he also, when he was confronted about, are you talking with other women? He's like, no, I'm not talking with other women. Then she's like, oh, Masha told me that, da-da-da. And then he's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm not, and he's backpedaling, continuing, lying. So is that all of it? those are pretty bad things. I have to say, if I was in Alina's shoes, I'd be like, this is a lot of lying in such a short amount of time. And so I totally get where she's coming from. She's like, I don't know if this is going to work. So for him to repair, he would have to own all of that. Instead, what he's focusing on is like, yeah, I'm really sorry that I sinned against my church, and and it's like, that's not the issue. The issue is that you lied to her and treated her like she didn't matter. I mean, why did you do that? Well, if you haven't become a patron of the podcast yet, you can do so by clicking the link below or by going to patreon.com. When you become a patron of this YouTube channel and of the podcast, you're really supporting what we're doing. I mean, in a very real way. I wouldn't be able to do nearly as many episodes if it weren't for the patrons. And so by supporting me, so I can actually literally pay my bills and dedicate a lot of time to this YouTube channel and to the podcast, it's really great. It's great when people sign up as a patron. Totally up to you. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.